Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 8th Herbal Gin Company Cocktail of the Week. It's going to be different this week because we're going to do two cocktails. In my blog, which I'm hoping that you will read because it's going to be released tomorrow, we're talking about one of the 6 basic cocktail templates that can be used and once you know all 6 of these, then you will be able to create any cocktail that you wish to do so. This one is going to be a Martini, and so we're going to do a classic Martini and then we're going to do an orange chococcino Martini. So hopefully that might get your taste buds going, but let's go on to the classic to start with, if I may. And before I do, I've got to say one of the main things about a Martini is that it must be cold. A Martini is not a volume drink, it's not a drink to be allowed to warm up. Essentially, it's a drink that should be silky smooth. Everything has to be cold, almost sub-zero in temperature. And when that happens, it tastes fantastic. A lukewarm Martini, no, don't do it. So, but without any further ado, and before I forget, because this is going to be a bit embarrassing if I make a cocktail and don't have a glass, excuse me, I'm going to go off screen, get a glass out of the fridge. In fact, I'm going to get 2 glasses out of the fridge because they've been cooling down for a while. Nice and cold. Martini glasses, great to hold by the stem. In doing so, it doesn't heat up your drink. So, martinis, James Bond. That's the only thing that I knew about martinis before, other than the shelf of the off-license that didn't quite get visited as much as the other ones that had all the things like vermouths on them, and I didn't quite understand them, and they had martinis, and I thought that was what a martini was. No, a martini cocktail is quite different. Just made that a little bit more confusing by the people that make one of the vermouths, that's for sure. Vermouths, by the way, are around about 15% ABV, so they are an aromatized wine. And that means that they infuse it with all sorts of different things. In the late 18th century, they infused it with wormwood. Sounds a bit strange. I don't think you're allowed to do that now for health reasons or whatever else, but wormwood in German is Vermutz. So guess how it got its name. So the Martini is a very simple drink, but a Martini is also really the resume of a bartender. So I'm hoping to improve my skills here because you can tell the quality of a bartender and a mixologist by the quality of the martinis, I'm told, so I think I'm in trouble. This is going to be a stirred martini. I am no James Bond, but I do appreciate the fact that yes, you can shake, but shaking creates air bubbles. I want my martinis to be smooth. So what do we do? First of all, very simple. Our ingredients for the classic martini is an extra dry vermouth. No problems there at all. As you can see, we have all 8 of our Herbal Gin Company gins in front of us. Front and center is our herbal gin with a twist of lemon. And in doing so, it's right at the front there. Fantastic. That's one of our first ever gins and well worth the inclusion into a martini cocktail. It balances very well with the aromatized vermouth. So, ratios, 2 gin, 1 vermouth. I'm also going to add a couple of dashes of orange bitters, just to give it a little bit of a taste. And I'll explain the other things later if I may. So, without further ado, gin. In theory, stirring glass, you can get very expensive ones on the internet. This is a chemistry beaker. Works exactly the same. And they're nice and tough too. So that's the gin in there. I also want a single vermouth. And it goes. A couple of dashes of orange bitters. Ice, the most important thing. Fill it right up. It might seem a little bit of overkill given the small amount there, but the ice from above pushes the ice down into the drink, keeps it there, Alcohol has a freezing point below that of water, which means that the ice, this has come straight out of the freezer, so it's significantly below 0 degrees, and as a result it's going to absorb all the temperature of the cocktail mix, and in doing so make it lovely and cold. I'm going to be stirring for about 20 seconds or so. You can smell those orange bitters coming out, it's fab. And then, the good thing about this 100ml beaker is it fits perfectly in my sieve. And then, very simply, very gently, and I can see that that's coming out lovely and silky and smooth. Good. Garnishes. We're not going to be putting in umbrellas or half a pineapple or anything like that. The best thing for martinis is to keep them simple. They are elegant, they're classic, they're smooth. So I'll just put my coffee aside for a second. You can use olives. Olives aren't too bad. I have to say, I even prefer a pickled onion, strangely enough. It sounds horrific, but actually works really well. Favourite though is a twist of lemon there. And I'm just going to put that on the side there, just to make it look pretty. So there we have it, a classic martini. Well worth it. The lemon in that is fantastic, I have to say. So now we go on to our second one, so you're getting value for money today, folks. So how can you put in a liqueur and call it a martini? Well, actually, if you think about it, this is a lovely chocolate liqueur and it is 17% ABV. This is 15% ABV. So what I'm hoping to get across is that if we just exchange, the Americans like to call it Mr. Potato Head cocktails. In other words, you can put it on different things as long as it's an eye for an eye, an arm for an arm sort of style. 17%, 15%, that'll do me. That's not a problem at all. So this one, however, is going to be shaken. The reason why is because, remember, I talked about the martini, the classic martini needs to be smooth. I can still see it silky smooth on the surface there of the drink itself as it's standing on the table. However, we want the exact opposite here. We want bubbles. Why do we want bubbles? Because when you have bubbles in coffee, you get that lovely, tasty crema on the top. And that is fantastic. So there's a little bit of exertion in the shaking here, I have to say. So what are we going to do? Everything goes on ice. So, excuse me, lots of ice into the shaker. There we go. Right, gin. 2 measures. Same as before, same ratio. 2 to 1. Notice I'm holding my measure over that, so any drips actually go back into the drink, so waste not, want not. There we go. And orange bitters. And then, last but definitely not least, the coffee. This is an espresso that I made last night. It's been in the fridge overnight. It's at 5 degrees, fab. Staying in the classic martini, keep it cold regime. So, here we go. "20 seconds. See how cool that is. There we go. And now, in theory, some people prefer to double sieve this to get all the little ice granules, but I quite like them, I have to say. So, again, nice and silky smooth. Crema's starting to appear. There we go. Nice and gently down. Now, lemon garnish for that, I'm going to use some coffee beans because that appears to be the way to do it. I've got a coffee bean put her on spoon, 1. Evidently it's 3. Why 3? Well, it's 3 for, in theory, peace, happiness, and goodwill. Choose 3 words, whatever you want, as long as it makes the world a better place. So, front and centre, what do we have? I can't put this down without tasting it. It's good. So there we go, folks. We have classic martini, stirred, smooth, lovely. Other end of the spectrum, a variation, a new guy on the block, but at the same time it's shaken. It's got that lovely crema on it. So we'll put up some pictures and you'll be able to see how all frothy it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. I do hope you enjoy making your own variations of, and have a good weekend.